Zero two seven figures. .com 027 figures. .com 0 027 figures. .com.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of 0 to 7 Figures podcast. I'm Brian Post.
And I'm Abraham Ruiz.
All right, how you doing?
It's been a minute. Been a busy week.
Oh man, good for you. Business is good, huh?
Business is good, man. We got some hail up here in my hometown, so that's always a good thing. It was pocketed, but I'm blessed to have good contacts, and so I'm flush right now.
You nurture those contacts, and when it's busy season, they know who to call.
That is it.
That's the power of branding, which is really our, the topic of today's episode is the what, when, and where's about advertising, because 0 to 7 Figures is all about helping small business owners and entrepreneurs explode to the next level. And so
right.
You're making it rain, huh, Daddy?
Making it rain, baby. Now, I in reference to what I do here, I've said this before. I'm a grassroots marketer, man. I like to shake hands and kiss babies. That's who I am as a person. And we've talked about how I've ventured out into social media, and I have somebody in charge of that. And it's been really good. Like, we've had a lot of good feedback as far as brand recognition and that sort of thing. But I mean, the amount of spam you get on social media.
Oh yeah,
is insane. I have so many crews like, you need work, I need work, you're gonna hire me. So it's entertaining to watch things come through as it does, and as it evolves, and as you start to build the campaign properly, because you have to fail a lot to figure out the direction you're going to go. And we're just now getting to a spot where it's looking a lot better.
Yeah, cool. And so you just said something really important, and I think we need to, I think this episode will be relevant at all times, but we're also looking at, at some level after COVID-19, where the market is starting to open up, restaurants are starting to open up, business is starting to open up. And so focusing on that advertising, when should people be advertising, the right. Where's, the hows, and you're talking about social media. And one of the things you mentioned is, you got to test, and testing can cost money. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but you got to test. But what do you say about when people should be when do you think people should be advertising?
Man, I think you talk about soft market, you talk about a firm market, you talk about good markets. It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
You bring your brand awareness when it's soft, because eventually it's going to get to a place where people are going to need you again, and you need to be ready. And that's one of the things, like when COVID had hit, that's why I jumped into social media, because I knew at some point the marketplace was going to open up again, and I wanted to be ready for that. Because as the market evolves, you got to evolve with it. And so everything's going virtual, and everything was going in that direction. So I had to say, this is what we got to do in order to stay relevant. And that's so always advertise. I don't think there's a downtime for that. When you're on vacation, you should be advertising. When it's summer, you advertise, and when it's Christmas vacation, you advertise.
Yeah, even when times are good and business is coming in, that's the best time to advertise, because you want to keep feeding the funnel, feeding the funnel, and that's what's important. And there are certain, and I mentioned this in another episode, but there are certain times of your year when you should be advertising more than other times of the year. And there's, right. Advertising doesn't always have to be trying to get someone to call a phone number. Advertising
right.
can also be educating your market. And I know you do a lot of that, just educating the marketplace, so that when people have a need, you're top of mind, because you are a source of expertise.
That's correct, and that is exactly what we were doing, and what we're still doing is education. Education is key, because there's a lot of people, we'll say in my industry, they go out and all they're trying to do is get that quick money. They're trying to get the quick money. Now, there's always you want that quick money. I'm not saying you don't, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. That's the smallest part of advertising for me. Because when there's desperation, there's a need, and they have to have something done right now, it's easier to get that money. It's
Yeah.
when times are a little tighter, when things dry up a little bit, and you're still advertising. That's when it's important. Like you said, the education. If they know what they're looking for and they know who gave them that information, where are they looking? And that's
Well, and so yeah, 100%. And so the other thought that comes to mind is, you know, because I roll in with the internet marketing dudes, so I'm always getting their emails and stuff and talking to them. And over the last 3 months, everyone has talked about how ad revenue's going down, Facebook ads have gone down, YouTube's, you know, dropped off because people aren't advertising as much. But all my dudes, all the small business entrepreneurs that I know that do a lot of internet related stuff, they're like, now is the time to advertise more. Advertise. So when people are quiet, that is really when you need to start making the most noise. That's the best time to make the most noise.
You know the distraction that I had, when I'm going online, I'll speak again directly to my industry, but the roofing industry, every third ad or post on Facebook was roofing. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm tired of, so I don't really surf Facebook very much myself personally. I use it as a tool, but I don't surf it. And so when I go on there, it's a little frustrating to see everybody out there advertising and everybody saying the same thing. You know, this is what we do. It's like, yeah, everybody does that. It's like you're trying to make yourself sound special, but you're not special. Mm-hmm. And that is something that we probably should address at some point, is like, when you're advertising, how do you explain to people what makes you different than everybody else without delivering something else? Do what?
How do you break through the noise?
Yeah, and that's a big one, because there's a lot of noise in my industry, and so that's why I try to stick to humor if I can, and try to stay away from direct, like saying, you know, I educate them. It's like when you this is horrible, and I'm not saying this about my clientele by any means, but when I'm dealing with my children, the best way to get to them is usually make it entertaining, make it funny, put a light edge on it. And they're still learning something. They don't realize it. They're repeating it. They don't realize it. And that's kind of the method I'm taking. My background's in youth ministry, so I've worked with kids. And so maybe that's why I have that direction when I do things.
Well, and so I think that also what you're doing when you're using humor is that you are providing a personality for people to attach to. Correct. And I feel like that's, so you're breaking through the noise in two ways: one with humor, and number two with personality. And personality sells, especially in this time, in these times, more than anything else. It's about personality branding. And if our listeners, if you're not following Gary Vee, I really highly recommend that you be listening to his content, consuming his content, because he's all about personality marketing. Because that's what social media is. Social media is about people. It's about being social. And so you give people a personality to connect to, even if you don't think that you have a personality. Listen to this. I sat and watched a commercial this morning on YouTube of an old dude, probably 70 years old, sitting at his table in his living room. And this is what I love about YouTube and social media marketing, is it's so cheap everyone can do it, because it's like TV when TV first got started. He's like, I'm gonna tell you guys about the markets and something about this certain market. I just got in this FedEx package, and I'm sitting here watching this guy. It looks like my grandpa. And he's opening this FedEx package, and I'm going to show you how this program, what you can get from this program. He reaches in, got a magazine here. He shows the magazine, opens magazine. There's this stack. It's wrapped in black. He opens it. It's a stack of $9,500 bills. He said, "Look at these and I'm sitting here watching. I almost clicked."
Wait a minute, so somebody sent him a magazine with $100 bills stuffed in it?
$9,500 bills. So he was trying to tell people, basically, with this program, this is how you're gonna make money. So obviously I see cash, because I always tell people I like money, but I love cash. I love cash. Yeah. And I'm like, glued.
Glued to the TV. You know, how'd you get that, man? It is funny, man. That is a driving force. It's a, yeah. And it's, there are people that you're right. And if you don't think you have the personality, you're wrong. There's always an audience. Now, you're going to be like a Joe Rogan type? Maybe not. But there's always an audience, and there's always somebody that will relate to you and your stories and to what you're doing and what you're going through. And so if you could get on board with that, you can talk, man. And that's all it is talking.
Yeah, that's it. Just being who you are. You know, and sometimes you're not funny. You could, like Dan Kennedy, you know, the guru of direct mail marketing. Dan is not funny. He is dry and crusty.
Right.
But people love that personality, and he's political, and he he's politically incorrect, and it's just like.
I think it's part of buying into your personality too, and that's in almost exaggerating it, because you're like, this is who I am. Here it is. If I'm corny and telling dad jokes, that's just what it is. Or if I'm dry like toast, that's what I am. But you know what? I'm going to be that person, and people like genuine people. So you can pick it up when somebody's on there and they're showboating, they're talking. You can tell when somebody's got a negative, energy about they're just fake. It's not real. They're presenting you a persona, which is not who they are.
Absolutely.
And not saying that doesn't work sometimes, but I'd rather be with somebody that I know is actually talking from their experience.
Yeah.
I got a lot of failure, dude. You guys need some experience. I got you.
I got a whole book of those. Yeah. Hey, the other thing though with advertising right now is that I feel like small business owners should be looking at all right now, because of everything that's happened with our economy and where the world's at. Everything's cheaper. So you can get newspaper cheaper. You can get radio cheaper. You can get billboards cheaper. You get Facebook ads cheaper. So everything's cheaper because people are not doing it.
Right.
And if the herd is not doing it, that tells you need to be doing it.
That's the mentality. That's what I call poor mentality. And when the money's not coming in and you feel a little uncomfortable spending money on advertising, that's normal. You might feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it. Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of people pump the brakes and stop, and then guess what happens with their business? Their business comes to a screeching halt. Because how do people know about you if you have a newer business? The only way they're gonna know about you is marketing.
Only way.
You can't crawl up in your shell. You know, you got to get out there. You got to keep pushing. And that's one thing that I will say about myself that I'm good at without tooting my own horn. I don't have a fear. There's not an intimidation factor when things get dry for me, because I know as a salesperson I've had a high level of success, and I'm never ever worried about, am I going to make the sale? The sale's always going to be there. Where's it at? I'm not sure, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's all about being resourceful and about pushing, and that's yeah. So I agree with that.
I think that it's really also important as small business owners for us to keep in mind the seasons, you know, so that when you know your seasons, you know when things are going to be down. You can plan for those things, but you also, you know, when people that you're going head to head with, when they're not spending money on advertising, you need to be spending money on advertising. Right. And go back. Don't forget about what got you where you are. Go back and think about some of the old campaigns you may have done. And some people, you know, haven't done much advertising at all. You know, one of the most common things that business owners like to talk about for their success is word of mouth. Word of mouth is only going to get you so far. Word of mouth is important, but you've got to have more people seeing what you have to offer. Otherwise, it is eventually going to dry up, because your customers will stop talking unless you keep asking. And that's important too. Ask your customers.
Casting a wide net is important. You're right, because that's, for instance, I had in the first part of my business relied on word of mouth. You know, I mean, it was a high level of success, but it was definitely very regional, very indigenous. It didn't step outside of my area. And those people, I hear a person here, a person there. But then I realized, okay, I got to start paying for this advertising to get myself out of this area. And that's what I started doing. And then I started going and doing what I normally do, which is the grassroots with the, you know, with people and on the ground in those locations. And yeah, it takes more than one method. You're right. If something's working for you, just because you started doing this up here, you had this conversation with me when I started social media, because it's hard for me. I'm a very tangible, tactile person. I like, here's $1, give me 5 back. That's how I run. And so when I have to put hundreds of thousands of dollars into a machine and not see anything for a long period of time, it freaks me out. It's the same reason I'm not a big fan of like putting money into the stock market. It's not that it's not good and it's not a genuine way to make money. I'm not built that way. So you talked me down off the ledge the last time we went to, said, man, keep doing what you're doing because it's working. And just remember, this is a new part of your business, and this is helping you expand your business. So you're going to have to be patient with it and still keep pushing over here. And it's worked marvelously, man. It's worked really well.
Well, and I think that's, it's important. I've got a friend who's trying to launch she works for someone else, and she's trying to launch her own little business. And I said, that's the best thing you can be doing. If you've got security somewhere else, keep working on what you're doing. And this is my point is, you can start introducing something new. You don't have to go whole hog into something, and you can build it up slower until you get it to work for you.
Right.
When you get it to work for you, you can scale it up. You can scale it up even faster. Or you find out it doesn't work, you stop doing it. I've tried so many things. I'm doing a campaign right now that I've committed $15,000 to. I have no idea. I know it's going to generate some sales. I don't know that it's going to profit me 30,000, but I like to try new things. And so we'll see what the results bring. But go ahead.
It's a lot like we were talking about, I think, before we started the episode. It was with the trying different things and maneuvering. What were we talking about before? Just before, remind me. Remember we were talking about the I was trying to hone in on my Facebook and how long it was taking and how impatient I am as a human being, apparently. And how, you have to hone in, and then you have to have your failures, and then you start seeing it, and then you twist it here, and you manipulate it here, and the next thing you know, you have a campaign that's cashing out. And it takes a minute. And it's you're right, the patience sitting there and waiting. You don't want to sit there and watch the computer screen waiting for an email to come from Facebook. Keep doing what you're doing out here, and then come back and check it.
100%. And keep testing your advertising when you put it together. And I had 2 points on that. One is, I've always been told that ugly marketing sells better than pretty marketing. So it's better to get it out there and get it going, and then test one component at a time. Test the headline, test the subheadline, test the first sentence in the body, test the call to action, test the pricing, test one thing at a time. But see, that takes some testicular fortitude, because all of a sudden, a small business owner might be spending $50 a day or $50 a week or $100 a week. And that could be a lot of money for someone, but you got to dial that down to where it's tolerable. But at the same time, if you want to open up that new channel, you're going to have to take some risk.
It's you're not going to do a scenario, right? Yes, that's just what it is. I mean, unfortunately, in order to get the reward, you're going to have to throw in some risk, and it's scary, man. It is. Sometimes it's scary. I said, but you know what? You know what's even scarier? Being in the same place you were 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's better to take that small little risk. So what? You don't go out and eat with your family. Eat at home.
Yeah.
It's COVID-19 anyways, baby. You should be eating at home anyways.
when it gets solution. When it gets scary, that's when it gets exciting.
That's right. Hey guys, we appreciate y'all joining us. 0to7figures.com. All our links for any of our resources will be in the comments section, guys. Please use them. We don't throw them out there for no reason. We want you guys to be as educated as possible when you're going through what you're going through. So, hey guys, tune in next time. We'll be talking about, actually, we'll probably be on the same topic. There's a lot to talk about. Yeah. So we appreciate y'all joining us.
Hey, and hit us up at 0to7figures.com. Check out the mastermind group. Love to have you.
Smash that like button, baby.
Yeah.
Zero to 7 figures. .com. 0 to 7 figures. .com. 0